Hello, hello. Lovely to be here with you all. How's everyone doing? Do say hi so I know who's here and I can welcome you properly. So do say hello. How is everyone? Hi, Minna. Lovely to see you. I'm just going to turn off my alerts and just make sure that those aren't coming in. No, they are. See if I can do anything about that. Hello, hello, hello. Can everyone hear me okay? Hi, everyone. Great. Good. How is everybody today? How are you all doing? Give me a word or a rating out of 10, how you're feeling, how you're doing. How's your day been? Lovely to have so many of you online. And I'm going to be talking to you about one of my most favorite topics today. And I'm really excited to be here with you all. Fantastic. Good. Hi, Jodie. Hi, Robin. Hi, Ema. Awesome. Good stuff. So I'm just going to give it one more minute whilst everybody's joining. Hi, Kat. Hi, Paulette. Just one more minute while people are joining, and then we can get going and start talking all things confidence. But whilst you're all on the line and whilst we're just waiting for more people that are joining across, hi, Dolo. I'd love to know what you'd like to leave this session with. Something you'd like to either leave feeling, or something you'd like to leave thinking, or something that you would like to leave with tools-wise, or just why you're here. What was it about this session that made you feel this was a good investment from your time? Hi, Wendy. Just pop in the chat box for me. So courage to ask for what I need. That's a good one. Feeling more confident, self-confidence, in the right place. Yeah, courage and confidence in difficult or challenging or delicate situations. First interview in 16 years. Okay, well, this will be a really good risk. A really good risk. This will be a really good place for you to be to help give you that boost before you have that interview, that's for sure. Oh, that's such an interesting comment, Sharon. Yeah, that's such an interesting one. Okay. Fantastic. Well, so many of you are looking for really similar outcomes today, and I think we're going to touch on all of that. I really, really do. And I am so pleased that you've decided to spend this time with me and that I can have the opportunity to share some of the tools and some of the knowledge and learnings that I've had because of, yes, lots of life experience, but more importantly, 6 years of training now. And some of that I can bring to you because we all want more confidence. Now, I think I know lots of you online, but there's some names that I don't think I know quite so well. So who am I? Well, 10 years ago now, I set up CNC Search. It's been the most incredible decade. I have learned an enormous amount, both about myself, but also about my passion and purpose. I am very driven by creating a more equitable world of work. I am passionate about those around me and myself, tapping into our sense of infinite potential, and we all have infinite potential. I've been lucky enough to speak globally, but my first love, my first passion is recruitment. It is the biggest honor to support people with finding not just a job, but finding an amazing career move. And it's been my passion for 24 years. I love it every bit as much as I did all that time ago. And I feel really privileged that I've had that opportunity. But today I'm going to be drawing on a lot of my experience as a leader and a lot of my experience as an executive coach to help all of you tap in to a sense of infinite potential through understanding how to build your confidence. And for any of you that want to join me more regularly for sessions, you can join our Development Academy, and Pippa will pop the link in for you, and we'd love to see you there. So who has ever used this sentence? If only I had more confidence. Who here has used that sentence? Most recently, if only I had more confidence. If only I had more confidence, I would X, Y, or Z. 1,000,001 things I would do if only I had more confidence. And the crazy thing is we are all born with equal amounts of confidence. And it's a really difficult thing to quantify in terms of confidence, because actually confidence isn't something we can see. We think we see it in others, but ultimately we think they have something we don't. But actually, true self-confidence is self-trust. So the Latin word for confidence means with trust. And so often we think of confidence as the person that's the loudest in the room, or the person that always gets what they want, or the person that is able to go and do the dance class, ask someone out on a date, or is able to share an idea in a meeting, or articulate themselves brilliantly. But actually, confidence is about deep self-trust. It means about being on our own side, and it means trusting ourselves to act in a way that is on our own side too. So deep self-confidence, real confidence, is all about building self-trust. And I'm going to help you get there, because confidence is an outcome. It's not something you are or you aren't. And so often we create this limiting belief around confidence that it's just something I don't have enough of. It's just something I am. You know, you hear all the time all these limiting beliefs. I'm terrible with people. I'm awful with money. If only I was more confident, or I'd never be that confident. I'd never be confident enough to. And we build that up. And because our brain can't distinguish often between fact and fiction, we basically make that our own reality. But when we can observe our thoughts and just get curious about them and where they're coming from, we can then start to change and shift that conversation that we have internally a lot. When we can get to a place of true confidence, it is life's enabler. It's like this incredible bouncy trampoline that enables us to leap, take risks, make moves. For me, when I know that I want to make a shift or a change, or I'm feeling that I've had a knock to my confidence, perhaps something hasn't gone well, perhaps I've had disappointment in some way, or something suddenly changed. And I know that for me, that's happened lots of times over my lifetime and in my career. And the last time I really lost a lot of confidence was when COVID hit. I felt that some other people were really able to understand professionally how to make all of these things work brilliantly, no matter the fact that COVID, and I didn't feel it, that I didn't have that understanding or knowledge. And that was definitely a confidence hit. However, I do have the tools to work through that, and that's what I'm going to share with you, because it's an amazing place to be. Deep self-trust, true confidence is like this incredible trampoline. It allows us to hold on to, you know, when you imagine trapeze artists, they hold on to one trapeze, don't they, and swing back and forth. And at some point they have to let go, and they have to wait to catch the next trapeze. And for me, true confidence is the willingness to let go of that first trapeze and know that I will be just fine to catch the next one. And it's in that space that we expand as people. And I'm going to share with you how we get there. So I'm going to ask everyone to share, first of all, if you had true self-confidence, if you had all the confidence that I could gift you in the world right now, what would you be doing? What would you be saying? What would your future hold? What would no longer be a barrier? What would the shifts be? So Christina would be empowering others. It would be leaning into delivering the task. What else? What would you be wearing? What would you be saying? What would you be doing? Would you try a new hobby? Would you ask the person out on a date? Would you network more? Would you go for that promotion? What would it look like? So some of you are saying the courage to take more risks, embrace opportunities, speak your mind. Procrastinate less. So a lot of it is speaking up, holding space, and leaning into something you would love to be doing, but overthinking it and then not doing it. Standing up for yourself. Yeah, that's a big one. Holding boundaries. Absolutely. Absolutely. All of the above. Because we have a collective crisis of confidence. No matter what you think is going on for other people, what we know from all the research is at the moment there is an absolute crisis of confidence because we are so busy comparing our curated or others' curated outsides to our insides. And it's a lose-lose. Because we have this culture of comparison, which basically drives us to buy more, sign up to more. I mean, there's the wellness industry is worth billions of pounds, and it's also tapping into that sense that we're not enough. And so as a result of all of that comparison to someone else's shiny outsides, to our insides, it's creating this absolute crisis of self-belief that we don't have enough, that we're not enough, that we're never going to be enough. And that immediately impacts on our self-trust and our self-worth. And one thing I do know is you are all more than worthy, and you are all more than enough. And none of us are broken. None of us need fixing. Sometimes we just need stronger tools and to work through some of our stuff. But 800,000 times is the number of times that imposter syndrome was Googled last month. Crazy, right? All these wonderful human beings that have so much capability with such crisis of their own worth. So how do we shift that? I'm going to take you through 5 stages today. And these are small excerpts of workshops that I run for corporates all over the world. And today I'm going to give you a small short five-step process. So it's super practical, but nothing changes if nothing changes. You can't think your way into a new way of feeling and acting. You have to take action to create the future that you want to live in. I promise you nothing changes if nothing changes. So just because you read the book on neuroscience doesn't make you a neuroscientist. Just because we read a book on confidence doesn't suddenly make us confident. But if we take small actions, if we intentionally take action, things shift big time. So the first step is compassion. So often we think we are the only one feeling alone, resentful, having a crisis of confidence, stressed, anxious. And I bet that all of you over the last few months certainly will have felt at least 2 or 3 of those emotions, right? And one of the things that happens with isolation is that we make these feelings bigger. They grow arms, they grow legs, and then suddenly they are our reality. So one of the first ways I would like to invite you to change this feeling of lack of self-confidence is more compassion towards yourself. So let me ask you that question right now. What could you be more compassionate about towards yourself? Because the number one thing about being human is that we are imperfect. We are never going to be perfect. It's impossible to be perfect. So what's one way? Hi, Maria. My goodness, it's been ages. I've been thinking about you recently. Lovely to see you. So what's one way that you can be more compassionate towards yourself? Certainly forgiving yourself for your past. Because if you think about so much of our feelings that stop us from feeling true confidence is either anger or fear that's usually past related, or anxiety that's very future focused, rather than being where we are now. And most of the time, where we are now, right now, in this moment, we are just fine. So optimism, looking for the glitter in life, is one of the ways that we can start to shift the way we see the world. And the more we see the world as giving, as possible, and that's really challenging right now with everything that's going on. But despite how complex the world is right now, and despite how heavy it feels right now, there is still so much beauty in the world if we choose to look for it. Those moments of glitter, that whatever that looks like for you, but we have to intentionally look out for it. So self-forgiveness is my first task for you all. What today could you forgive yourself for or let go of? Letting go of how others need to see you, letting go of the thing or the way you snapped at your child this morning, letting go of something not going as well as you hoped it would, letting go of a mistake, forgiving your past. Remember that we're all making it up as we go along. Self-forgiveness is one of the first tools, and self-compassion. There are 3 really amazing ways to build compassion into your life. One is self-kindness over self-judgment. When you hear that inner critic popping up, actually asking yourself, what is the way that I could be kind to myself right now, rather than judging myself? And somebody that judges others is often judging themselves far more harshly. So where could you do that more? When you say to it yourself, you know, what are some of the common ones? I'm stupid, I'm ugly, I'm not enough, I'm not lovable, I'm X, Y, Z. These are things that come up all the time. So how could you choose to be kinder over and let go of judgment? Also knowing that this is something we all share. We are not special and different because we think and feel these things. We are part of a common humanity that 97% of which experience these thoughts, these feelings. And being compassionate to ourselves means knowing I share this feeling with most of humanity. And finding ways to find people that you can share that with in safe spaces is really powerful to becoming more compassionate. And the more compassionate we are to ourselves, the more true compassion we can exhibit to others. Mindfulness over self-identification. And what this means is that thing where we start to get stuck in a roundabout of thoughts about ourselves, or conversations with other people we're going to have that we'll never have, or that constant repetitive buying into a story, because thoughts are not facts. They're just thoughts. We have hundreds of thousands of thoughts a day, about 97,000 minimum. And we get to pick one thought over another. And mindfulness is about being able to notice our thoughts and work with them. Oh, that's interesting, that's coming up. Oh, that's interesting, I'm thinking that right now. What's going on there? Rather than buying into the story. So I do ask you right now, how could you build that into your life? And there's another part about being compassionate to yourself, which is this. So a lot of people pleasers and a lot of people that have learnt, and I am definitely a recovering people pleaser. I don't think I'm a cured people pleaser, but I'm definitely a recovering people pleaser, is that we give away too much. We overwork, we overgive, we overworry. So I'm going to give you a compassionate equations. I'm going to give you a self-compassion equation, which is B times R over C. So the benefit of helping a person times the relationship you have must be greater than the cost of helping that person. So it's really important that we don't abandon ourselves in the quest to support others, because that is true compassion for ourselves. So the cost can't be greater. And that doesn't mean you're not going to be supportive of others. It doesn't mean you're not going to give other people your time, your energy. But it is really important to really notice in your relationships where that's happening. What's the cost? I'm going to let you know something. We know it, but we don't do it. The past is in the past. Even the things that went wrong, even the mistakes, even the things that went disastrously, as we sometimes see them, they're all information for making better decisions as we build our future that we're going to live in. Letting go of that, making peace with it, having processes for anger, for fear, for regret, working with that stuff so that you can focus your energy on the now and the future is so powerful in terms of building that first step of compassion. So ask yourself right now what you're noticing. What are you noticing that's calling you to action? What do you know that you could take action on around your compassion? Because the next step is courage. So we are nowhere near talking about confidence yet, but we are building a confident future. Courage is the courage to be on our own side. Courage doesn't have to be huge, great, big leaps. Acts of courage can be the smallest actions. Saying hello to a stranger, giving somebody a compliment, putting your hand up in a meeting, offering up an idea, even if it's not bought into by everybody else, because everyone's entitled to their own thoughts, processes, ideas. So confidence is about getting to the point where it doesn't matter if you don't like me. It doesn't matter if I'm not your person, because I am on my own side. It's the courage to really notice how we're behaving, how we're acting, how we're showing up. And courage is so much about letting go of fear, but working with it. We can't get rid of fear. Sometimes fear is really useful. It stops us perhaps doing something really impulsive or something that might put us in a place of risk. But so much, particularly as we get to being adults, it's like all of these little layers of paper that we've brought with us that we then suddenly are held back by. And so for me, working with courage is about working with fear, not trying to get rid of it, but just noticing where it comes from and recognizing that if I take this act of courage, the gain will be so much bigger than the fear of losing control or the fear of getting it wrong. We have to allow ourselves this elasticity, this sense of being able to fail forwards. How do we learn anything if we don't get it wrong sometimes? And these three parts of our brain, just knowing where we're at, and I always talk about this because it's so important. Confidence is deep-rooted, according to neuroscientists, in our prefrontal cortex. And we know that in our most ancient part of our brain lives the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response. And it's what I call the bear. So this is the prehistoric part of our brain. This was brilliantly useful when we thought crocodile might attack us, or a saber-toothed tiger, or if our tribe rejected us, that we wouldn't survive. It's been brilliantly useful. It's not so useful now. And so much of that fear is not founded on the truth. And most of it is survival response. You know, you didn't unload the dishwasher. Well, you didn't put the bins out. Or agreeing when we don't agree. Or being aggressive or defensive as soon as somebody mentions anything that might not be in exact agreement with ourselves. And it's usually old stuff. But we want to get to the place where we can really engage this part of our brain, because the next part is our teenage brain, or our chimp. This is the part of our brain that judges ourselves and others. It's the part of our brain that gossips. It's the part of our brain that thinks they should know who I am. They should absolutely agree when I share blah, blah, blah. I know best. It's this part of our brain. And it's our inner teenager. And the inner teenager is always throwing its toys out the pram. Because then we have our guru. And it's really normal for these parts of our brain to get triggered, engaged, activated by certain things. But what we want to do so we can develop deep self-trust is to get our prefrontal cortex working. This is our curious brain. This is the brain that self-regulates. So the part of our brain, if we really engage it, recognizes, oh, I'm in my bear, I'm in my chimp. I'm going to go take a walk. I'm going to listen to some music for 5 minutes. I'm listening to the part of my brain that's going to question my thoughts, work out what's true and what's not, that's not going to judge or gossip, that's going to allow other people to be themselves, because what other people think of us is none of our business. What we think of us is our business. Am I meaning what I say and not being mean when I say it? Is my intention to be of service or come from a good place? Is my intention to do the right thing? Holding a boundary is never selfish. And I had a lot of false confidence. So I have, over the last 15 years, often been told, gosh, you're so confident. And for so much of that time, I did not have true confidence. I was masking all sorts of anxiety, insecurity. I had lots of maladaptive coping mechanisms. I suffered from extreme anxiety for most of my 20s and 30s into my 40s. You know, I am not somebody that's had true self-confidence, but I was somebody that was really able to mask it really, really well. And through lots of different parts of my life, I have felt that I'd really lost my confidence. When I got divorced, when I've had a health scare, when all sorts of different things, we all have life stories, have happened, I have truly felt I'd lost my confidence. But now I'm much more able to draw on a toolbox that allows me to get back to feeling like I trust myself and that I am more than enough as I am. And courage is one of those steps after compassion. Courage looks like different things for different people. We are all different, but we are all having a human experience. And the one thing I know for sure is we are all making it up as we go along. No one has the manual to life. So courage is going to look different for all of you. But I wonder what's one small act of courage that you could take this coming week, just over the next week. What's one small thing that you could do that might help take you towards feeling more courageous? Would it be signing up to a class, speaking to a stranger, going to a networking event, trying something new? What would that look like for you? Because then we get to step 3. We've been more compassionate to ourselves. We've taken some acts of courage, and now we're going to build our competence. One of the most amazing ways to build confidence is to build our knowledge. To decide to learn more is one of the greatest acts of kindness that we can give ourselves. Learning from reading, podcasts, but not just that, learning what our secret sauce is. What is it about you, what you do, how you do it, and why you do it that makes your zone of genius uniquely yours? So learning about ourselves and about the world around us is an incredible way to build confidence. It really also activates that part of our brain, and it enables far better ability to self-regulate. But knowing what we do, how we do it, and why we do it is really powerful. And really recognizing that failing forwards is part of life. It is not an upward trajectory. One of the active tools that you can use if you are in that place where you'd like to take an act of courage, or you'd like to build your competence, perhaps you want to sign up to a course, or you want to go to a networking event, or you'd like to speak up in a meeting, is to use RAIN. Recognize the feeling. Get curious about it. Identify what is this really about? Because often when we're angry, we're often scared. Often where we're scared, what we really need is to nurture ourselves in that moment. So what I mean by that is to acknowledge and make peace with the feeling. It's okay, I'm feeling like this. I recognize where it comes from. And then to start the process, visualize your desired outcome. Visualization is one of the most powerful tools in the world. It's why elite sports people, CEOs, lots of people that we recognize as very high achieving individuals use visualization all the time. Visualize what you would really like to be feeling, thinking, or acting in that moment. And then work out what's one thing you could do to take you towards that place. In this, there's a great process to follow, which is the magic rule of 3. Notice every day 3 things you've done well. What are 3 things that you yourself have done well? So I'm going to ask everyone to share. What's one thing you've done well today? What's one thing you have done well today? And it can be the tiniest of things. But what's something you've done well today? Shown up for this. Yes. Done some ironing. Brilliant. What else? Let's have a big share of things that we have done well today. Insurance companies, changed tires. Fantastic. Tricky emails are, yes. Completed tasks, fixed an issue. Yeah. Yes. Being kind in the face of somebody being aggressive. Chased up on tasks, supported a colleague. You see, there's so much we're doing well all the time that we don't take the time to notice. And what happens when we start to intentionally notice our competence is we become more competent. It has this amazing ripple effect. So if you can take the time to notice 3 things every day that you have done well, wait to see the ripple effect from that in terms of how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem, and what shifts. Step 4, curiosity. I think this is the area perhaps that I have worked on most. So as a child, we ask about 107 questions per hour. Loads. And then by the time we're an adult, we're hardly asking questions at all. We've become human doings most of the time. And actually, the more questions we ask and the more curious we get, the more we develop the ability to observe, to notice, to respond over to react. And all of these things build self-trust, which is ultimately the ultimate confidence we can ever have. We have all these filters getting in the way of our curiosity. Lots and lots and lots of filters. You see it sometimes, don't you, with, I don't know, let's say my teenager, when my teenager's with her friends, she often won't ask questions because she's worried that they might judge her or she might say the wrong thing. Whereas when she's with me, she'll ask me tons of questions. And curiosity is a really optimistic place. It's your what if place. It's a brilliant place to be when you can ask yourself, what if? What if it all works out? What if I'm more than enough? What if I can speak up for myself? What if I can hold that boundary? What if I am more than intelligent enough? The what if question opens up our prefrontal cortex and allows our brains to buy into the possibility that all will be well. And they say it's, flow over fear or faith over fear. That fantastic what if question is incredibly powerful. And asking ourselves when we're about to take an action or we're looking to be more courageous, does this support the life I'm trying to create? Is a really great barometer for sometimes just doing the things we don't want to do, but we know ultimately it's going to be really fantastic in terms of building the future that we want to build. And other times it stops us from doing something that isn't going to support the life that you're trying to create. It's an incredibly powerful question. Step 5. Confidence, meaning self-trust. You cannot control how other people think of you. We spend a lot of time trying to control that narrative. What we can control is how we act, how we behave, how we make others feel, what our intentions are, how aligned we are with our value system, owning up when we've got something wrong, making amends when we haven't got it right. These are things we can control. But controlling how other people perceive us, not something we can control. And I said it earlier on, what other people think of us is none of our business. What we think of us is our business. And let me share with you that confidence isn't the absence of fear. Confidence is the ability to work with our fear, to notice it, to get curious about it, to self-regulate. Confidence is not something we are born with or not born with. And confidence is not about being the loudest or the most quiet in the room. Confidence is about deep self-trust. And we can build confidence through that route that I've shared today. Compassion, competence, curiosity, and eventually into confidence. There are really simple tools, but we have to be intentional about making a decision that we're going to bring these into our lives. You can use, which I share all the time, a whoop. So what's my wish? I wish to speak up in a meeting. What's the outcome? That I will be able to share my ideas and I will be able to share my thoughts, that we might be able to implement this improvement I think we've got. What's the obstacle? I'll worry that they're going to think I'm stupid. I'll worry that I'll say the wrong thing. And then make a plan. So how do I plan for that? Well, before the meeting, I'm going to make sure I do some breath work. I'm going to visualize the outcome. I'm going to make peace with worst case scenario, but I'm also going to notice what could be best case scenario. And when I'm feeling that my inner critic is popping up, I'm going to recognize it, but I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to buy into it. I'm going to buy into the belief that I'm worthy of sharing my view. So rewriting the script is really critical. Any kind of mindfulness activity is brilliant at building more self-trust and so more confidence. Small steps towards goals, showing up when people aren't looking. That's what integrity is ultimately, is what we do when others aren't looking. And so showing up with real integrity and surrounding yourself by the right people, people that celebrate your success, people that encourage you to take action, people that encourage space for your views and your thoughts, cheerleaders, or as I've written here, radiators, not drains. There are some amazing cousins that will help boost your confidence. These are confidence's best mates. Noticing when you are putting yourself down and reminding yourself that you are valuable, that you have worth. You have worth because you were born. It's practically a miracle that any of us were born. You are more than enough. Being optimistic, expecting favorable outcomes, knowing things will work its way through. Optimism is incredible for confidence. And it's also just so, remember when you're being around people that are really optimistic, how fantastically warming and motivating it is to be around those kind of people. Being ultimately compassionate towards ourselves and self-efficacy, building up our knowledge, believing in your ability, noticing when you've succeeded in the past and knowing and drawing on that knowledge that you are more than capable. Building your toolbox. Noting down. So you might want to take a screenshot of this so that you can journal on this or write it out afterwards. But building your toolbox when you're having a sense that your confidence is dipping is brilliant. So who can I talk to? What's an idea that really helps me when I'm feeling like this? What's an activity that helps me? What's music that inspires me? And how can I notice when I've made progress? And progress over perfection, noticing that we can make progress and it doesn't need to be perfect. Another screenshot you might want to take. Questioning our thoughts leads to that lovely, curious place. Asking yourself when you're thinking certain thoughts, am I being fair to myself? Is it helpful to think like this? Is it true? What are the facts? Am I going to allow this to truly dictate my mood? Because every moment of the day can be a new start. Just because you've had a challenging morning or you haven't shown up as you wanted to, doesn't mean the afternoon can't be entirely different if we make the intention to make it so. So I am and I feel. These are mine, my manifesto. And I am thoughtful, I'm collaborative, I'm empathetic, I'm considerate, I'm creative, I'm clear, and I'm non-judgmental. That's my manifesto. And I try and go back to that all the time. I write it down and I read it, and I welcome you to do the same thing. So to remind you of this wonderful 5-step process. Compassion for yourself. Courage to take action. Competency, curiosity, and confidence. So if you would like to stay in touch, I would love to welcome you to stay in touch. I'm so grateful you've chosen to be here. I'd love to know something you're taking away from today. What's one thing that you're taking away? Pop in the chat box. And if you have any specific questions, you are so welcome to ask. Pop in the chat box for me, or having more self-love. 3 things you've done well every day. Yes. Talk to yourself more kindly. Self-forgiveness. Confidence results of self-belief. Yes. Self-talk. Yeah. Fantastic. And what I will do is I will share some resources with all of you, because we have only just touched on those 5 steps. And we all are sharing so much of these feelings. And the more that we share about them, the more that we can really make sure that we're connected to others and have the support that we really need. And self-confidence can be built at any age. That is absolutely right. Okay, everybody. Well, look, I will share with you some resources. I've really enjoyed being here with you all. And thank you. Really looking forward to staying in touch. Reach out to me directly if you would like to, or if there's anything specific in terms of resources that would be useful. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon indeed. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.